Okay, welcome to the Village of Cottage Grove Emergency Management Committee on Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. This meeting is taking place in person at Village Hall, and you can also watch this on our YouTube channel either now or later. Actually, probably just later, because this is just a in-person meeting. It is 2:05, so I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum and the agenda was properly posted. So we'll move on to number 3, public's appearances, the public's opportunity to speak about any subject. That is not a specific agenda item. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to give public comment, we'd invite you up now. Right. Seeing no one for public comment, we'll move on to number 4, which is appointment of a chair and a vice chair to the Emergency Management Committee. Go ahead, Mike.
I'd nominate Cindy Kelm-Nelson as chair.
Is there any other nominations for chair? Is there any nominations for vice chair?
I'd be willing to serve in either capacity.
Want to make a motion?
I would be willing to serve in either capacity as well. Sorry.
A number of individuals interested. Make a formal motion.
There was a motion on the floor from Mike.
For the chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we can motion to approve Cindy Kelm-Nelson as chair of the Emergency Management Committee. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. Appointment for the vice chair. There's a motion to appoint Paula Severson as vice chair of the Emergency Management Committee. Is there a second? I'm making the motion.
I can't second my own motion, can I? I would
Is
second.
that the motion? Okay. Motion and a second. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to number 5, discuss and consider the minutes of the Emergency Preparedness Committee meeting on February 27th, 2026. Those meeting minutes are linked in the agenda as a PDF, and you can pull those up and take a look at them. To pull them up here. Any comments or questions on the meeting minutes?
Move to approve.
Second, just for discussion purposes.
Motion by, JP, second by Severson.
So with the change from emergency preparedness to emergency management, we're kind of a new governing body. So there's no, have we run that by, just make sure that that's kosher for us to approve those minutes?
I think just because we did approve all of the name changes,
Okay.
and legal didn't seem to have a problem with including that in here. So for historical reference, it was the Emergency Preparedness Committee and Plan for the last several years, and the village, the committee, previous committee, and that was made up mostly of kind of the entire village staff. And so creating a new committee and structure and ordinance and a new plan under emergency management, including, some non-voting members involved in the structure, but then also including 2 businesses and then some trustees to kind of make this just kind of a newer committee. So that's kind of where we ended up, and this is kind of the first meeting of the new structure. But I think it's fine to approve the meeting minutes today.
Yeah, and while I wasn't there live, I did watch the meeting, so I am comfortable voting on the content of these.
So yeah, there's a motion and a second on the minutes, and if no other comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. We're going to move on to number 6, discussion and direction to the Emergency Management Director regarding committee expectations and objectives. So like I just said, this is a new structure and organization within a newly approved plan for emergency management. And so giving Lieutenant Wagner some clarification around what we expect as a committee and some objectives for him is going to be helpful. So I'll open up, and I don't know, Lieutenant Wagner, if it's helpful if you kind of give us a little summary of what you've been accomplished to date and maybe some ideas for the committee to discuss.
Yeah, that'd be great. Some of them are agenda items that are going to be a little bit further down on our agenda. A couple of the main things that I've been working on this year is we're due to update our participation in the Dane County Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. So I've been working with our partners in the Public Works Department to get our mitigations together for that plan. We were able to install and get up and running our third tornado siren, which I'll again talk about a little bit more in depth. A lot of it comes down to the goals that we have are training, working with our school district, school resource officer, and potentially getting or continuing training at that level from a line level when it comes to ICS style trainings and workshop style trainings. So again, my goal is to get what you guys need from me, so I can put it into a plan and work forward on it. And then as we continue to have these meetings, have these different updates for goals for 2027. Personally, I've gone through, I attended the emergency management conference last week. So I got to sit down with the universities throughout the state and see their plans and talk to a lot of their emergency government directors from a university level, how they're putting on their tabletop exercises, how they're putting on their full-scale exercises. So now I have resources to be able to tap into to potentially be able to bring those here. Working with Rachel and doing their trainings when it comes to reunification through the school, assisting her where she needs help for those styles, those trainings. So I'm going through personally with Chief Gary's approval. I've started going through the classes to become a certified emergency manager. It's going to take quite a while because some of those classes are only offered once a year, potentially 2 times a year. So, but that's my goal, is to eventually get through that certification also.
And I know we've sat down and talked before quite a bit about the role of the emergency management and the village. And I think I'd like to see the committee continue to support that specific training. I think that that's important as the village continues to grow. So how we can, either through operational or budgeting, making sure that we are dedicating and protecting your time to make sure that that can become a reality, and however you make that work. I think my expectation too would be, because you're going to know what is needed for the village too, is to come, and I don't know if we need to have another committee meeting or if it can be rolled into an LEC budget request, but to make sure that the capital, if there are additional capital needs or operational needs, obviously, however that looks, to make sure that that comes back through the budget process for the village. Other suggestions? Yep.
Yeah, so my hope for this this group is a couple things. I would love it if we could at least meet quarterly, and that kind of goes with the seasonal change and perhaps different hazards that come per season. I would love to see at least 2 tabletop exercises in a year and a live exercise, training exercise. I'd also love to see some outreach to our businesses, and particularly our largest employers, on their emergency plans. And then obviously, you know, if we are meeting quarterly, just kind of reporting back if hazards change, if there's changes in services, I think would be great. But it would be nice to especially do those tabletop exercises with the members of the committee too, for our educational purposes as well. So those are some of my hopes.
And I think that kind of goes then along with the budgeting requests that would come forward through budget season. I think that probably 2 tabletops in the live is probably not realistic through the end of 26, but moving forward for 2027 to make sure that those resources are included in budgets, to make if that's what the committee, majority of the committee would agree are good benchmarks.
And I think we could either get a tabletop or live action before the end of the year, maybe one, and then going forward, trying to get into the cadence. I think that's wise.
I guess for discussion, I just want to check in with Lieutenant Wanger is I don't want to set an expectation that is not necessary per se. So like, is doing a live and 2 tabletop exercises every year a realistic expectation? Is there enough to cover? Do we need to have more in there? I just want to right size that expectation.
Well, if we could do one every week, that'd be great, because, I mean, that's what EM is all about. It's all about preparation. We want to hopefully go through all of these scenarios before we truly have to do it live. You know, it depends on the scale of what the exercise is. You know, a full-blown, you know, exercise is that's a lot of planning. I mean, that could potentially take years to come to fruition. Smaller tabletop exercises, if we're talking just this group, you know, we could put something together, you know, regularly, you know, just to talk through a scenario-based, you know, style training of this is a scenario that happened. Let's just talk through what our plan is going to be going forth. So again, it just depends on the scale of the tabletop exercise and the live scale. You know, ultimately, you know, we want to kind of crawl, walk, and then run to get this group, you know, understanding what truly the EM process is. I mean, us as first responders, I mean, we live and breathe it. So we want to make sure that you all have the training that you need to be able to coexist with us when it comes time of putting that into place. So, you know, the only direction I would need is how big do we want these? You know, because I can shoot for the moon and try later, but then it also comes down to budgetary constraints. So we did a tabletop exercise back in December of 24 that had about 30 participants, and that was about $2,000 for that exercise. So that was a 4-hour exercise that we did where we brought in outside agency in to help us run it. That gave us after actions, things that we needed to work on as a village, and that was at the cost of about $2,000. So I am only one person too, so you know I would have to rely on a lot of resources to be able to assist, to be able to get those, you know, up and running and capable, because we don't want to do a bad training either. We want all of our trainings to be good.
And I guess I don't want to overstep on your percent like effort allocated to this role in comparison to your other duties as well. So I think that maybe is something we should consider.
And to JP's, I appreciate your concern and your comments. I guess my vision, and I should have clarified this, would be the people here, where we wouldn't need to, you know, bring in the county or bring in the state to start with. Is just the people that are in this room today, is just kind of start at that level. So that shouldn't require as much coordination or finances.
And we could truly do it in these meetings or after these meetings. Everyone's here. You know, I have a very good working relationship with Dane County Emergency Management, and I'm sure, you know, one of the individuals that I speak with on a regular basis would be more than happy to come in and kind of facilitate a training for us, just to kind of to look at what our preparation is. So again, we could, as a group here, I mean, truly, get through the meeting in 30, 45 minutes and then take another 45 minutes and talk through a hazard and, kind of put everyone on the spot. This is what your role is, which kind of assist with, a little bit of the homework of, our emergency preparedness plan is a 60-page document and, each individual has a role. So being able to pull those roles in. So I'm all for it. Like I said, that's what this is about, is to be prepared for a potential hazard. And it doesn't have to just be a natural hazard. We have Hydrate here. I mean, we could always use, in the past, we've used their facilities to run an exercise. I know the fire department works real close with Hydrate when it comes to, their preparedness for a potential. I mean, we could all coordinate together and go live for 30, 45 minutes, even at their facility, to talk through an incident. So the options are endless. And if that's the way you guys want to roll, then I have no problem reaching out and we can set something up for the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
I think, is the rest of the committee okay with that? All right, so I'm hearing quarterly, we'll take it kind of one step at a time, but aiming for quarterly meetings, followed by some type of exercise or discussion of an aspect of the plan. And then Paul had also mentioned outreach to businesses, and I don't know if that's something that you currently do or if that's something that should be integrated into some of your work.
Yeah, I mean, I've reached out to some, hence why Brian and I have communicated. Chief and I got to sit down with Brian and his staff and just kind of, bridging that gap between, the village, what we can offer and then what they offer us. So I've reached out to Paula's, Summit Credit Union. I have a good relationship with her. I've spoke with Steele, I'm trying to get to some of the larger areas. Elsivia I've reached out to, haven't heard anything back, but yeah, that is my goal, is to truly get out and, so they have a contact, a liaison of someone that they can at least bounce something off if something pops up. So, and I will continue to do that.
Okay. I mean, we can integrate that into agendas, just agenda report, or in your director's report. So is there anything else kind of setting, I think we have some good expectations and objectives for how this committee might be structured with quarterly meetings and exercises, and then additional, obviously, protected time for training for Lieutenant Wagner, and then budget asks for, additions to, whatever the capital or operation is needed. JP?
Yeah, I just want to clarify for the budget ask, are we going to have Lieutenant Winger go through LEC just because it's coming down the pipeline pretty quick here?
I think what I can do is, I've already been working with Chief Gary for 2027. What I'll try to do is keep all of you abreast via email, so everything's coming forward, so we're not missing any of Cameron's deadlines. But then potentially from a committee level, if we don't meet before then, I may have to get it in front of the LEC just so it can get in front of the entire village board with an understanding. And then next year, it'll be through this process and through this committee.
That sounds good to me.
I agree. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page there.
Okay. Any other comments on this agenda item? Okay. What about telling us a little bit about planning and coordination for a training exercise through the end of the year for this year?
Yeah, I think, again, from a line level, we've been working on it. Most of our officers all have been going through the ASIM Advanced and ASIM Basic, so we're continuously doing that training. But I think potentially for the next meeting, I could have something in play right away, so we can start that crawl mentality of, seeing where everyone's roles are, where they fit in, and how we go through it. I do still have the after action and all of the paperwork from the 2024 exercise, so I can kind of recycle, reuse that to get the ball rolling. But for a, again, full-scale exercise, you know, I think we would be up against, that would be a lot. I mean, that would be a lot to try to accomplish before the end of the year. And again, a full-scale exercise, and Rachel could attest, is not cheap, and it's getting a lot of resources in one area. So we'd have to truly plan probably 12 to 18 months out to get that on the schedule, so people can start planning and updating to be a part of that exercise.
Does it make sense with the opening of Amazon early next year to potentially do something, at least, again, with the people in this room, out in that area, just to see how traffic flow works, that sort of thing?
If Amazon wants to allow us to do that, I think, yeah, I can reach out to my contacts and see if that's something that they would be willing to allow us to do, absolutely.
I guess the other thought that crosses my mind is any exercise in the Commerce Park. So, you know, I know there was a rollover construction situation that happened there. And I know that sometimes, depending on the time of day, you know, it can be congested on the streets back there. So I don't know if that ever is a concern. But I think through that every time I go to work. So just curious.
Yeah, I mean, those incidents, if you would like, I can try to do a after action type style, bringing, you know, some of the major, you know, our major incidents for the quarter to the committee, just as more of a review of these are the types of incidents that, you know, we had responded to, you know, fire EMS had responded to, just to keep you guys abreast of those types of calls for service. I mean, at this point, in the 10+ years, knock on wood, that I've been here, we haven't had anything reach a level where we've needed, you know, an EOC to be opened. You know, operationally, we've been able to handle it.
Yep, that raises a question. So, Paul, I just want to make sure to clarify your ask there, because a rollover incident, that just falls within our standard EMS, fire, emergency response. So are you talking about something that would raise it up a little bit higher in there?
I'm trying not to say workplace violence, but when we have major employers with lots of people, that's one thing that crosses up, you know, my mind. I know that we do training internally at Summit, and so I just think about if a situation like that occurred, how do we mobilize? How do we get things through? Especially those two streets, East Gaston and Commerce, that are parked on both sides. Just thinking through some of those parameters. But yeah, it would be a step above the rollover situation.
Anything else for this agenda item? Lieutenant, do you need anything from this committee on coordination of a training exercise, or do you think you have enough feedback from us?
No, I think I have enough feedback, and I'll be able to work with all of our partners, with all three chiefs, and hopefully we can come together and, you know, come up with a you know, a meeting of the minds and maybe put something together. So again, for the next committee meeting, we're all ready to go and understand what the objective is going to be. Okay.
Why don't we move on to update on the natural hazard mitigation plan and our participation?
So this is a extremely large document that the county puts together. We have participated it's on a 4-year cycle, or excuse me, a 3-year cycle. So this plan that we're working on now won't go into effect until summer of 2027. So again, it takes about 18 months to get everything up and running. So I've been working with Kyla when it comes to our natural hazards in the village. JJ Larson and I did this last time. So lucky for me, this is my second kick at the cat, so I've been kind of dragging Kyla along against her will on everything. But we've identified, 3 mitigations that we're going to put in front of the county, which then goes in front of the county board, which then goes in front of FEMA. And once the Dane County plan is adopted and approved by FEMA, that just opens us up for potential for grant money. So that's the goal of participating in this, is to continuously work through any potential issues within the village, but also then put us on the short list for if something did happen that we would be eligible for specific grant money. So there's nothing really to update now. I have a meeting on Monday with Dane County to kind of go over our rough drafts, which they're very rough at this point. But I'll meet with them during our time on Monday, and then I'll bring it back to Kyla. We'll finish off everything, and then we'll have it submitted by the initial deadline is July 29th.
Any questions for Lieutenant? All right, what about, let's move on to number 9, discuss and consider recommendations for village emergency management website. So this is a carryover from our February committee, and just looking for direction to staff, in particular probably Inga, on what this committee would like to see as resources on the website.
It would be helpful to know what type of functionality we have with the website. So for instance, do we have the ability where we can put, like, let's say in the event of an incident, can we put a red banner up at the top and have people click there? Do we have the ability to mass message village residents? So it'd be helpful to know what we can do.
Yep, so there is the alert center on our website. It's a module, so we can put an alert at the top of the page, and that can transfer over to all the pages on the website or just the home page. In terms of doing a mass communication out to residents, we do have a newsflash module through our website. We have the MailChimp newsletter set up as well, and I'm not sure if PD has anything additional, but those would be our 2 main resources for getting information out, just via email and that way.
Right now, the committee, it's just kind of the mission, the members, which is also like our ordinance, the current members, the staff supports, and then agendas, and then the contact is Lieutenant Wagner. But are there any other information that anyone would want on there? Yep.
I would just turn towards Lieutenant Wanger and see if this could also be a place where that ask of if anyone wants to connect with you, what does that look like, etc. I think that should be in there, whether it's a form, whether it is just a standard statement. I'll leave it up to you in England to decide, but I think some kind of ask is another way to solicit connections in there.
Could we put the emergency management plan and then later on the Dane County hazard mitigation right on that page for easy access?
Any other suggestions? All right, hearing none, let's talk about budget or capital needs for emergency management. You want to give us an update on it, knowing that it'll come this year through LEC, and then and through the budget process, through the village board, budget review committee first, obviously.
Yeah, so the nice thing is I'm a department of 1 with a budget of 0. So everything that I've done up to this point, I've just been utilizing the budget process, and it's been, capital improvement plans, working with the village administrator, village staff, just showing them what our needs are, and we've been able to include that into, into the past budget. So, it would, there are asks for readiness when it comes to preparedness. As of right now, we have 3 go bags, which are strategically placed throughout the village that I was able to obtain over the last 3 years that have fully updated operational radios. We have those at 2 of the different wells and then one at the police department now. With all the binders that we would need for ICS style stuff when it comes to maps. One of the squad cars that we have, we've also kind of have turned it into a slash emergency government vehicle where I have it fully stocked with all kinds of whiteboards, maps, anything that we would need for a mobile EOC or incident command center to start if we had an issue. So. But a lot of that stuff has just been pieced together with recycle, reuse things that we have found either at the police department, Public Works is no longer utilizing. So it would be kind of nice to have at least a number that I can work through. Again, preparedness is, we don't ever want to have to use it, but we just want to be prepared for it. Things like, potentially having a drone for when it comes to if we do have an incident where we can get high and be able to take those pictures and have those videos to be able to send all that up to the county, which then goes to FEMA. So, those types of asks are more than likely what I'll start researching with the help of other emergency, government directors in the county on how they're prepared and what tools that they have at their, in their toolbox, and hopefully be able to bring those forward during budget time.
Go ahead.
Our, I guess, and you don't have to maybe answer this right away, but do we have, for instance, supplies somewhere like a number of tourniquet kits, for instance, like a good solid number, things like that? And then how are they housed in terms of, does EMS have some, fire, police, like those types of resources? And then I guess my follow-up would be to other chiefs. Are there resources within your departments that we should be kind of calling it out and setting aside for emergency management? So, sorry, that was like 4
that was
questions.
a multiple. I'll
Yeah.
answer my part
Okay.
of it. Yes, I have a mass casualty kit that I have set up that I currently have 25 tourniquets, all kinds of different. Actually, Eric's staff helped me put it together when it comes to gauzes and stop the bleed kits and those types that I keep in that squad. So if we ever do go to a mass casualty, all we got to do is grab the bag and we can throw it in the room and say, here it is. I can't speak. I can only speak to our department. I know, and working with the other 2 departments, they're well equipped. But yes, if they have asked too, that we could potentially, be able to, help fund, through the emergency government instead of through their own budget, that may be, beneficial for, all of the readiness when it comes to all 3 of our departments.
For fire, we don't really have anything that would need to be distributed out into, we get our emergency supplies from Chief, from Deer Grove as well, so, we carry some of the stuff in our trucks, and when we need more supply, we usually go through them, so. As far as stocking stuff for distribution, I don't think there's really anything on the fire side for that.
Yeah, we can get pretty far into an incident before we need bigger supplies. We probably have almost 20 in specific tourniquets on each ambulance between a mass casualty kit and some other stuff. I think something that probably is on Matt's thought process would be, and especially with a new building being built, is convenient for us to have an EOC in our basement, but also not. I mean, we're gonna operate out of there, and it gets really hard to manage an incident when you have the people managing the incident and the people attempting those that are supposed to help us manage the incident kind of all in the same building. It's gonna be a center of activity, maybe not as functional as we'd like it to be. So something on the horizon would be that there be a secondary EOC
type of things. And I'm sure that there's considerations of that with the new police department building. But I would temper that with your location to certain industries isn't any different than ours, aside from direction.
Yes, and that was part of the planning process for the new building. The community room is also A/EOC. Chief and I are working through a lot of that right now with just where outlets and everything are going to be able to, we had Dane County EM come in and actually look at it, look at our plans. They actually gave us suggestions for things to have inside of that community room for an event. And yes, I do agree that, you know, Brian's predecessor, when I talked to him, he had said if anything happened at Hydrate, you're not going to be around anyway to be a part of it. So, you know, there is that aspect of it. But yes, that is in consideration. And again, to Paula's point earlier of getting, you know, Stop the Bleed kits to our larger, you know, facilities within. I know, you know, the school district themselves, they have their kits in place. But getting Hydrate and getting Summit and getting the larger ones trained with Stop the Bleed, because once they have that training, they actually will get a full out mass casualty kit that they can just put right at the door. So I think that could be a goal of mine, is to be able to set those trainings up. I just happen to be a Stop the Bleed instructor, so it would be very easy to, and myself and Sergeant Wettig, and I know Eric's got some staff that are Stop the Bleed too, that we could truly get our village trained up on that, to have those at multiple locations for, and I personally believe that each firefighter should be carrying their own tourniquet. So I think working with them and making sure that happens too is gonna be a primary goal, because unfortunately in the day and age that we live in, they're ambushed just as much as law enforcement is. So I will work with Chief Archibald to make sure that they have those readily available to their staff.
I think that pairs nicely with the business outreach too, and maybe that's also the website update so that we can continue, you know, promoting that and getting it out in the community.
About tourniquets, we'll need to search a little bit more, but I think there's an RTAC opportunity for granting that I just saw, but I would have to find the right words to search with that my mind isn't finding right now. So, and that would be not only for the schools, but potentially for larger businesses where we could, through the Regional Trauma Advisory Council, get the stuff donated for free.
I was just gonna ask, I think the EOC moving to the police station makes a lot of sense. I wonder if we could either plan our budget for this building to be kind of a secondary EOC in the event of something at Hydrate, or kind of down in that corridor where maybe we have some response things here as well.
Yeah, I think we could set this place up, but I mean, again, just like reunification places, the more you have, the better. So we could kind of get one in all quadrants of the village, potentially have one on the north side. You know, there's a couple large facilities up there that have conference rooms that we could, you know, potentially utilize. Again, we have an incident, you know, more up on the North Interstate area of, you know, potentially Amazon, you know, any of those types of facilities, we want to be able to have something there. So I think that's what I'll work on is trying to find one, try to find multiple, that we could at least go to. It may not be perfect to start, but at least gives us an option to start with, and then we can move forward with it.
Great. What about, should we move on? Talk to us about the tornado siren updates and then also future considerations. And I know that the sound plan report is linked in the agenda.
Yeah, so this started like 4 years ago. I initially reached out to this organization, just give us a sound plan. And then Chief Gary and I were able to look at the sound plan and just saw where we were extremely deficient in the village. So working with that organization, and then working through, you know, the good placement of where our sirens are, we're in a lot better place today than we were 4 years ago. So we currently have 3 sirens throughout the village. The first one still in the same place just north of us here. We have one over now off of Damascus Trail. And then the third one that we just put up this year is up on the hill on the south side of the village, right off of Clark Grove. what's the one that goes uphill? Grove, thank you. Right up off of Grove Street. So as you can see, with just the plan itself, we have a good coverage from everything south of I-94. But as our village grows, and it's growing more north, and now we're growing east, we're gonna have some deficiencies above or to the north of the interstate. So there is talk and there is potential of having this organization then put together another sound plan with potential spots of if we put a siren here, what it would look like for coverage. So right now, our thought process is the water tower right up by the interstate to potentially put a fourth siren to be able to cover the north side of the interstate and the park and ride and that outside area. Again, the goal for sirens is for those that are outside. They're not for people inside of houses or inside of buildings. They're truly for individuals that are outside. So that's why we prioritized the three where they're at now, because it covers all of our parks. The one on the south side now covers all of Bakken Park, where we have a large contingency of outside events. So talking with Chief Gary a couple weeks ago, the potential of putting one on the north side of the village could potentially wait for a year. That may be more of a 2028, potentially 2029 budget ask to be able to get that coverage, just because there's still a lot of construction going on up there and we don't have the outside occupants as of right now. So we just wanted to get it in front of you so you saw the coverage that we have now. We feel very comfortable with our coverage with the potential of going to be in the future asking for a fourth siren.
Does the study ever take into consideration, and that maybe the town or county, do they have sirens does it only look at your municipality and your siren or does it take into consider overlapping from additional sirens? Like if there was one up in the town of Sun
Yeah,
Prairie.
if there was if the, let's say the town had one on, off of BB, it would take that into consideration to show us where all the coverage is for the village.
Okay.
So yes, it does take into account of all the area, sirens currently.
Any questions or comments about the tornado siren system?
Would it make some sense to possibly look at the village-owned property to the east of Summit as a potential location? Because especially if we're looking at outside, I think across the interstate at McCarthy Park, that's definitely an area with a lot of people outside. So just throwing that out there as a possibility.
Yeah, and I can, the nice thing is working with them, they can drop a pin anywhere and it'll show us the coverage of where that would happen. And then the committee can decide, this is where we want to set it. And then, it's kind of one of those things with tornado sirens. The village is on the hook to purchase it and put it up. But once it's up and running, it's actually run by Dane County Emergency Management. So we don't have anything else to do with the siren. They turn it on, they turn it off, they run the maintenance off of it. It's just up to the municipality to get it purchased. But yes, we can drop pins wherever you guys would like and have them study the best coverage.
Future agenda items. So I know we talked quite a bit about all of the different things that you're going to accomplish for us in the village.
Yeah, and so just to add, we can add on there like a director's report and some of this stuff that we talked about. It doesn't have to be an agenda item. I can just truly bring it up in a like the chiefs do the chiefs reports, and I can just bring that up to you of the status of where we are on these 9 bullet points.
And as far as like EOC future locations or reunification locations, is that something this committee should discuss and consider to make it kind of a formal or?
Reunification is not on the village. That's going to be on the place. We will assist, but like for the school district, reunification is strictly on the school district.
Okay.
And it would be the same thing for, any business. It would be on them to have that reunification plan, and then we would just assist them with it. But EOC wise, EOCs need to be very fluid. We could have a couple that, the police department, when it's up and running, having some static ones, but being able to have the mobility of an EOC is probably going to be beneficial just because we can't predict the future and where our event's going to happen.
Anyone else have future agenda items?
I think maybe just reviewing the communication plan and kind of what we talked about with the website and such would be good. I forgot to mention, sorry, on that Ready Wisconsin as a resource. I think that would be great to have a link as well.
Yeah, and then, Dane County EM, they have on their website too, they have a lot of because they have the rave system that, all Dane County residents can be a part of, with their cell phones. So we can, I can work with Inga about, changing the website, regularly with different, resources that people can jump onto and potentially download or be a part of.
All right. How about a next meeting date? Are you thinking October? Does that seem realistic, Lieutenant Wagner? October sometime? I know 3 p.m. plus typically works better for most of us. Perhaps October 15th at 3 p.m.
I was actually going to say that 15th through the 19th, most likely I'll be gone because that's the extended weekend for the school district.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
Sorry.
I have Disney on my calendar, so
Yeah.
you're correct. How about the 22nd of October at 3 p.m.?
I will be out of state the 22nd through the 27th.
How about the 29th of October at 3 p.m.?
It works for me.
Okay. All right. Number 14.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All right, motion is second, non-debatable. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.